I have been handed a lot of opportunities in life. I have to say that God has been very, very generous. But if you are not able to hold those opportunities, you're going to self-sabotage. You're going to find or create ways to sabotage those opportunities. So God gives you these things, and when we can't hold on to them, then we lose them. So what is the point of asking for more and more and more and more and more and more if we can't hold on to the gifts that we receive? So how do you become ready to receive? You have to do the inner work. What is the inner work? You have to heal your nervous system. You have to understand yourself enough to know what your limits are, to know when you need to ask for support, to know what tools you need to step up to be able to hold on to that. Because a lot of times we're gifted these things, these opportunities or these relationships or these things, and if we don't have enough tools to sustain them, we will lose them by self-sabotage. And doing the inner work has taught me that it has helped me to let go of beliefs, of regulating my nervous system, of asking for help when I need help, of implementing the practices that are constantly regulating and bringing me back to self before I burn out or before I self-sabotage. And that requires quite a bit of work and support. One of the biggest ones for me, it was just knowing my limit and like regulating my nervous system, and also knowing what triggered me and being able to hold on to my emotions. And when my emotions would arise, instead of running from them, I learned to sit with them enough to regulate myself back again. That way, when my internal was being rocked, I wouldn't shake my external too much, right? Or it's opposite, right? When my external reality is shaking me to the core, I'm like, I can sustain myself. So the lesson here was to stop asking for more if we're not ready, because if you are not ready for what you're asking for, you're just going to self-sabotage. And how do you become ready? You have to be so honest with yourself, to look at yourself with awareness, with compassion and curiosity instead of judgment, and instead of judging yourself, and creating ways to integrate, creating a steady foundation to where your beliefs, your coping mechanisms, the way you support your body, the way you support your mind, could sustain you. So for me, it was really working on my body, mind, and soul, I would say. I had to find ways to nurture my body consistently. I needed to find ways to nurture my mind consistently. And then I needed to find ways to nurture my soul. So when those three things were nurtured and taken care of, I was able to sustain my gifts. The moment that I neglected either of those things for too long, I would start self-sabotaging. So this is where like the abandoning or neglecting yourself comes in play. And this is the whole getting to know yourself. Like going inward and getting to know yourself and your triggers and your strengths and your weaknesses, and finding support. So when when you're strong, you could grow and expand and really hold on. But in those moments of weakness, how could you support yourself so you don't drop that gift? Otherwise you're just gonna keep repeating the same pattern. And I have some videos prior to this about patterns and awareness if you need more support in discovering who you are and uncovering some of these patterns. Thank you for watching.